Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Maiden Nectar Cardfight Vanguard standard deck profile for March 2021. With the release of Clan Selection Volume 1, we were given new Maiden of support, making the whole deck a different take on the playstyle for calling out tokens onto the field. And it's a step away from Asha as well, which was basically its own deck altogether, going back to the Maiden of series for a good number of setup that we have, relying solely on the new Maiden of Stampini for a good focus of our grade 3 plays, but also relying on a good number of other different new cards we received from the Clan Selection Volume 1 booster pack to basically bump up the power of the deck for, I would say, the final run in standard format altogether. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So as our go-to main grade 3 in the deck, we're running 4 Maiden of Stampini. On Vanguard or rear, when placed, call up to 1 plant token to rear. If this unit is on the Vanguard circle, you can call up to 2 plant tokens instead of 1. Having the imaginary gift force marker as well just adds to the pressure for your rear guard plays, but also on Vanguard, when it attacks, you can counter +1, retire 4 rear guards, and call 4 plant tokens to your rear. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this and all of your plant tokens get plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So if you originally attack with your 2 rear guards and also boosted because you're going to be retiring 4 units, you could potentially then call out new tokens to the field and have them all get plus 10,000 power. The tokens on the field for the plant tokens normally have 5,000 power altogether, so then that is a 30,000 column on each side of your Vanguard circle for each unit that you retire with this skill, and then just able to attack with those units afterwards, which even if your opponent gets a trigger unit, as long as they don't exceed that, you still have the potential to basically then get additional triggers yourself and power up the tokens using those ones to attack into your opponent's units. And then as for the go-to backup grade 3, I originally wasn't thinking of running any other grade 3s and relying solely on Maiden of Stampini, but I also decided to run 2 Cornflower Maiden Innis for the backup grade 3 on Vanguard or rear when placed. Counter +1, soul +1. Look at the 5 cards from the top of your deck. Call a card from among them to rear and shuffle your deck. If you have another unit with the same card name as that called unit, you draw a card. It's just good consistency for getting more and more set up on the field. And on Vanguard or rear, when your other rear guard is placed by your card's ability, this unit gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. So just with all the token calling that we add into the deck, I just have found it to be a good backup card for your plays that you can rely on. With Maiden of Stampini still being the one grade 3 you want to go into most of the time, Innis just helps for the additional plays you can do and giving you more and more rear guards, which you can then, call and retire with Peony for additional tokens to call out. And that is it for the grade 3s. We'll now move on to the grade 2s. I run 4 Maiden of Nepenthes on Vanguard or rear once per turn. Retire a plant token to draw a card. And until the end of the turn, this unit gets boost and power plus 5,000. So with it, it has draw power. You have plenty of tokens to make use of for resources in this deck. And that's where this card comes in handy, being a once per turn, but you can always just call an additional Nepenthes out onto the field to make use of the skill again. And on rear, when it boosts a grade 3 rear guard, you may have the boosted unit get critical +1 until the end of the battle. If you do at the end of that battle, put this unit into your soul. So the potential play with this card is to have Peony set up on your Vanguard circle, calling out your Nepenthes behind this card, because then you're going to have the token spots or what you'll retire with your Peony to then call out additional tokens onto the field, and then Nepenthes can boost your grade 3 to give this card the additional critical and also the additional power that it will receive from its own skill when you retire the token units. That's where Nepenthes definitely does come in handy for that setup, being able to rely on this card for the boosted power and just one of the units you want to keep on the field, so you always have those resources readily available. And then as the backup to that grade 2, we're also running 4 Maiden of Fallvine on rear when placed from hand. On a rear with a plant token, you draw a card, and this unit gets plus 5,000 until end of turn. So with it, you have to place it on a rear with a plant token, which is once again very, very easy to do. In the deck, just focusing on that gives you draw power, because most of the time you're going to retire the plant tokens anyway for more setup. They're not really going to be a target for your opponent, since you can just easily make more and more onto the field. So giving you plus 5 will make up for the retire, obviously giving the plus 5 to this card if you were to lose the boost, and gives you more incentive to call over the plant token, because it will give you a draw into another card, which could potentially be another Maiden of Fallvine that you can call it another open token on the field and get more and more draws by doing so. And then lastly, to finish off the grade 2s, I also run 2 Osmanthus, Maiden, and Elma. When placed, you can +1, soul +1, draw a card, call it to 1 plant token onto rear. And if you have a rear guard on your rear guard with the same card name as your grade 3 or greater Vanguard, all of your units get boost. So the boost can come in handy if you have multiple Maiden of Fall Vines that you had to call in these same columns. But Elma's here just as another easy way to give you draw power while also providing you with additional token support onto the field. It's just good for the setup for your rear guard. It's the same name of your Vanguard. It can happen at times with Peony, but most of the time you're not going to use it for that main skill. It's why I'm only running 2 of this card at max in the deck. And then moving on now to the grade 1s, I run 4 Maiden of Flower Carpet. On Vanguard or rear, when placed, you may call a plant token to rear. It's no Soul Blast, no Counter Blast, just when you place it, giving you that easy resource to make use of. And from the drop zone at the end of your turn, you can retire 2 plant tokens and return this card to your hand. This ability may only be used by a card with the same name once a turn. So you just have more and more token resources, but this is just great recycle power. Kind of reminds me of Musketeer Rebecca in a way, just easier consistency because you don't have to use Counter Blast or Soul Blast. You just have to use the easiest resource available to you in the Maiden of deck, being the plant tokens that you call out to the field. And for more resources to provide for the plant tokens, I also run 4 Fruit Baskets Elf. You rear guard, use Soul Blast 1 to retire this unit. Call up to 2 plant tokens to rear. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, plant tokens get plus 5,000 till end of turn. So just for retiring this card, you get 2 plant tokens, which can easily be made use for with Maiden of Fallvine. And also for the resources being a Soul Blast. You don't really use the Soul Blast much in this deck aside from Innis and also for your Anelma, which we're running lower numbers of anyway. So just putting it as our main card to use it with, and also our additional next card that we run for the grade 1 lineup provides more of a soul charge. It just gives us more and more resource to fully run this card at 4 for the fact that it is a +1, giving us use for those tokens and also boosting up the token's power. And I also run 4 Maiden of Sweetberry on Vanguard or rear when placed. Call up to 1 plant token rear. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you soul charge 1. And on rear during your turn, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So most of the time late game, it's just a free plus power, being able to hit for some pretty big boosts for your initial attacks. And then if you do retire this card, you will just be replacing it most of the time thanks to your Peony with stronger tokens onto the field altogether. And just giving you a call up to 1 plant token to rear. And if your Vanguard's a grade 3, it's once again just a free token call, just like our Maiden of Flower Carpet, but the only difference is this one has the recycle power, while Sweetberry just has the power plus that you can rely on, and more soul charge to then use for fodder for Fruit Baskets Elf. And then for a few more of the lower numbers for the grade 1s, I also run 3 Full Tank Tangerine. For more on the token power, especially, like I said, with Maiden of Fallvine, or even just for the retire of the plant token, you just want options for all of your tokens. So being able to just retire Full Tank Tangerine to give you a token on the field, it's better because if you call over cards with just Fallvine, you're not going to get the additional draw power, or even the retire, since you have to retire a plant token. So it just is this an extendable token maker onto the field that you can rely on, and why I'm only running 3 of it. Or if you want to adjust some numbers for it, just for more grade 3 searches, you can bump up the number of Valkyrie of Reclamation Padmini that I'm running. It's the grade 3 searcher in the deck, but like I said, you can mix and match the numbers of your Full Tank Tangerine for additional numbers of this card. I just have the 2 in here for now, because once again, token making is, I would say, much more of a priority altogether, when the grade 3 search is nice, but most of the time it wasn't a big worry of mine. And that is it for the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s. For our starter, I decided to stick with Spring, Heralding, Maiden, Ozu. There's options, but I just didn't really want to run the Musketeer one. Felt more for the Musketeer deck in this deck. So sticking with this starter for the lineup of the triggers, I run 4 Daniel, and also 2 Chestnut Bullet, and 2 Capsy Sai. This can be mixed around. If you want to go more of the Maiden route, you may just want to run the 4 Chestnut Bullets and the 4 Capsy Sai. But just a variety of different critical triggers, but still wanting the number to be 8 total for that pressure with all of your different units that may be attacking. And for the Sentinel, still sticking with the draw lineup. It's becoming a big trend for a good number of these decks from the Clan Selection Volume 1 booster set. And lastly, the 4 heal trigger you can choose. I do like Watering Elf, but also just have the mix for the different heals in this, just because I couldn't actually find the different numbers. But once again, a heal's a heal, the same thing there. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely making a lot of these different decks for the clan selection, but having a lot of fun as well, because it's different variety as well. Unlike, with Bermuda, where you're sticking to one clan, we have a lot to work with, and it's going to be even more when we get closer and closer to Clan Selection Volume 2 for sure. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.